Tropical Storm Chris is churning up big waves and rip currents up and down the Virginia and North Carolina coasts. We got a look at the rough surf and the red flag warnings today. This is video from the Outer Banks and a live look at the Virginia Beach oceanfront. And Chris is expected to become a hurricane tonight or early tomorrow. Good afternoon. I'm Janet Roach.
And I'm Regina Mobley. Meteorologist Evan Stewart is tracking the storm tonight. Let's start with Evan.
That's right. And as we take a look at the presentation on satellite and radar, looking better organized than it has over the past couple of days. With the radar on here, almost seeing what's the formation or the start of an eye. That's again right where we're seeing that center of circulation. And we do have the Hurricane Hunter aircraft that have been investigating it. So we'll get the latest information from them with the 5 o'clock advisory coming in about 45 minutes from the National Hurricane Center. So we'll show you the 11 o'clock advisory. And at that point, the storm already had winds of 60 miles per hour with gusts up to 70. Of course, 74 mile per hour sustained winds would make it a hurricane. And the storm is still stationary. It's just sort of meandered here off the coast for the past several days, and it looks like that'll continue at least into the day tomorrow. And the Gulf Stream waters are very warm. There's not a lot of shear, nothing to really keep the storm from developing. So we do expect some slow development into a hurricane later tonight or tomorrow with winds up to 85 miles per hour. And then a cold front that'll move through here Wednesday evening will pick up the storm, and it'll rapidly accelerate off towards the east and northeast. So the big takeaways for us here in Hampton Roads: clear skies in most spots tonight and tomorrow. However, along the Outer Banks, we'll be looking at a few showers. The rough surf and the rip current risk that will continue as those winds out of the northeast continue. That'll be through the day tomorrow. And then the cold front will push Chris out to sea on Wednesday. That's the same front that'll bring us a few showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures will be going up and down just a little bit over the next week. I'll have much more on that in the 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Evan, thank you. Well, we continue to track Tropical Storm Chris tonight. It's not expected to make landfall, but beachgoers need to be careful for the next several days because of the dangerous surf.
13 News Now reporter Allie Weatherton is live at Kitty Hawk, where there is a new way to get alerts about beach conditions. Allie.
Well, Regina, it is a beautiful day here, but I'm sure you can tell by my hair it is windy. Take a look at the signs behind me, those red flags saying no swimming. Now, I want you to look at these waves here. They are just gigantic. You can see that there's just crashing down. Now, people I talked with say they wish they knew they couldn't play in this water before they came to the beach, because there's something new. Dare County released a new alert system, and you can get it right on your phone. The alert system is for ocean conditions. It will give you all the information about high and low tides, flag warnings, and general safety warnings. The information will come from the National Weather Service, and also lifeguards who are watching the current conditions can give you that information. Now, if you want to get the alert, all you have to do is text Join OBX Conditions, all one word, to 30890.
The person who's coming to the beach needs to know what they're going to be experiencing before they get here, so they make proper decisions as to whether or not to bring their flotation, do the things they need to do to ensure their safety when they're at the beach.
Now, coming up on 13 News Now at 5, hear more about that phone number and how it can keep you and your family safe. Live in Kitty Hawk, Allie Weatherton, 13 News Now.
So what do you do if you're stuck in a rip current? Experts want you to swim out of the current and parallel to the beach. If you can't escape, try to tread water or float while calling or waving for help. Try to relax and let the waves do the work to carry you back to the beach.
We have breaking news out of the Middle East. A sailor assigned to the Norfolk-based destroyer USS Jason Denham has died. Navy officials say the sailor was hurt yesterday during small boat operations in the Red Sea. A helicopter took the sailor to a hospital in Jordan where the sailor died. The Navy has not released the sailor's name and is still investigating the circumstances surrounding the death. New information tonight about that helicopter crash in Williamsburg. A 91-year-old woman inside her townhome died when the helicopter came down. The pilot did not survive. And we're learning more from investigators about this crash. 13
News Now has team coverage tonight. Megan Puryear is standing by with what we know about the woman in her home. But first, we begin with Nico Clemens, and he just got an update from investigators. Nico.
I did, Janet. I just finished speaking with a NTSB investigator. That's the National Transportation Safety Board. Tons of information. We know emergency officials found that pilot's body inside all of that wreckage right here behind me. We still do not have a name, but we do know based on pilot registration, that pilot was from Alexandria. The investigator says the pilot flew out of the Williamsburg-Jamestown airport yesterday around 4:30. And guys, that's just about a mile from where I'm standing. No reports of other injuries. We do know the name of the person who died. Her name is Jean Danilko. She was 91 years old and lived in one of these units here. The helicopter crashed a little after 4:30 yesterday. The Williamsburg Fire Department worked all night to put out the fire and hot spots. This morning, they were able to get inside the complex along with the FAA to start their investigation. We do know the pilot was flying an R-44 helicopter. That's according to the FAA. Right now, the NTSB officials, they're collecting evidence, witness statements, and other data.
We have started collecting a few witness statements that have mentioned interesting things about the engine sounding unusual or the engine sounding funny. We're not done reviewing all of those, and we don't know what those mean.
And the NTSB expects to release a preliminary report sometime within the next 10 to 14 days. It will not have the cause of the accident, and an investigation like this, according to the investigator, is going to take at least 18 months. Live in Williamsburg, I'm Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.
Now we are learning more about the type of helicopter involved in this crash. R-44 models are common four-seat helicopters manufactured by Robinson Helicopter Company. According to the FAA, this is the 11th fatal helicopter crash in the country this year and the first in Virginia. The Department of Defense confirmed this is not a military aircraft. And we thank Nico for our coverage. 13 News Now reporter Megan Perrier has been following the story since it broke yesterday.
And she's looking into more about the 91-year-old killed in the crash, Jean Danilko. And Megan, what did you find out?
Yeah, Janet, Jean Danilko lived on her own. Neighbors say that she would come and go from this complex. You can see right here behind me from time to time. They say after this tragedy, they want to stay more in touch with one another so that when a crisis does occur, they know what to do. Now, the Bristol Commons community is in the process of setting up a GoFundMe for the survivors who lost everything. But at this time, they say all donations are welcome at the complex clubhouse. That includes canned goods, food, anything you can spare. Now, I spoke with resident Margot Bridge about how the community is coming together now.
The only one they didn't get out was we didn't know she was in there. They pounded on the door, but the one lady didn't survive. But yeah, it's a big tragedy. It's something we're all pulling together. We're pulling together as a family. We'll be okay.
Stay with us on 13 News Now at 5 o'clock as we talk to a survivor who's reunited with one of her most prized possessions. Live in Williamsburg, Megan Perrier, 13 News Now.
All right, we're going to keep following this story as it develops. Look for updates throughout the evening on 13 News Now and on the 13 News Now app.
After 68 years, a Norfolk veteran finally gets a proper military burial. Army Sergeant Elmore Goodwin was laid to rest today at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. He was killed in action during the Korean War. In 1998, someone found human remains during a joint recovery operation in North Korea. It took another 20 years before scientists used DNA to identify his remains. The USS John Warner is set to return to Naval Station Norfolk on Wednesday. Navy officials tell us the Virginia-class attack submarine steamed more than 30,000 nautical miles. It launched a series of missile strikes against Syria back in April in response to a chemical attack. The crew of 132 also visited ports in Scotland, Gibraltar, Spain, and Greece. 13 News Now welcomes the crew home, and we thank them for their service.